And just like that, we kick another week off here on Bet alongside Anita Marks, rocking the LaMelo 3 in Your Eye shirt. I am Tyler Fulghum. We are going to have a lot of fun over the next 30 minutes. Our buddy Sean Farnham is waiting in the wings to join us and discuss the NCAA tournament. The Final Four is set, so we will dive into those two matchups. If you hadn't heard, Coach K has made it back in his storybook run. The NBA, we'll touch on that as well. Have fun throughout the next 30 minutes. As you know, I always encourage you because our lawyers in suits tell us youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting is where you can go to get all of the sports betting content you need. Sign up for that channel, and your device will be populated with our show, with other content, shorts, all the good stuff to help you do the best you can at the betting window. Anita, how was your weekend, my friend? Are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready to go, man. Final Four, it's been decided. Can't wait, as Bart Scott likes to say.
It is decided. The Final Four, and Bart Scott can't wait. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to start this Monday edition of Bet Anita with a short little, sweet little piece of reaction or no action. You know the drill. We've done it a zillion times. I'm going to say a statement. You tell me if you agree or disagree by saying reaction or no action. Let's just make it an all NCAA tournament edition before we get to Sean Farnham. Start with this one. In our one semifinal matchup, the basketball gods have given us UNC versus Duke. That will be one Final Four matchup. I don't know how it worked out this way, but that's what the basketball gods have chosen. So, reaction or no action, UNC, win, lose, or draw against Duke, will score 80 or more points in the Final Four. Reaction or no action?
Man, reaction, absolutely. I mean, what's been the elixir here, as I love using that word, when it comes to the Tar Heels, right? It's their offense. It's been epic. They've come together. They peaked at the right time heading into this tournament. I mean, heck, Tyler, just a few weeks ago in March, we saw them put up 94 against Duke prior to the tournament starting, right? Like, they've hit 40 three-pointers in 4 games. What does that mean? They're averaging 10 three-pointers a game. And as we know, coming into this tournament, Duke's defense, no bueno. That was the biggest concern. They were ranked 44th in the country coming in. Now listen, their defense has definitely stepped up, but this UNC offense, they're a different animal, man. So reaction here. Yeah, I absolutely think they'll put up at least 80 points against Duke.
I get it. Their offense plays fast, and their offense has been balling. Caleb Love is making buckets all over the place. But I'm going to say no action here, Anita. If you look at the books, their team total is set at just 73.5. I know, I don't like disagreeing with you, Boo, but 73.5 is what the market is dictating the Tar Heels are expected to score. Of course, they can get hot and go crazy. As you mentioned, last time we saw these teams play, they hung 94 on the Dukies. But in the tournament, games, especially at this point, kind of slow down, get a little more physical. These teams have seen each other's sets. They're not going to surprise Duke with some new plays or anything that Hubert Davis is going to run there. So I just wonder if the players will be a little tighter. I wonder because we've seen it in this tournament. A lot of games go under the total. I'm just going to ride with those trends. No action, but of course, on any given night, UNC has shown us time and time again they can go off offensively. All right, let's move to the other national semifinal, a matchup between Villanova and Kansas. Reaction or no action, Anita? Villanova will cover in the first half against the Jayhawks. They're getting a 2-point head start. What say you?
No action here for me, baby. I mean, listen, I understand that they beat Houston, but I know that this was a big storyline coming out of that game. They only shot 29%. I mean, Houston had the better field goal percentage. Houston made more field goals. The only reason that Houston lost is because they went 1 for 20 from downtown. That's the only reason Houston lost. So in my book, Villanova should not have beaten Houston. The Cougars should have advanced. So no action here for me. This is smoke and mirrors, dude. This is smoke and mirrors. I'm staying away.
Well, this is awkward because I am reaction here, okay? And we always acknowledge my bias against Kansas, but come on, baby.
Here?
I don't know what's going on right now, Anita. If we're like playing in a 2-man scramble, we're having struggles right now from tee to green. But I don't like betting against Jay Wright. I didn't do it in the last round against Houston. That paid off. I did it against Michigan because I thought Michigan was hot and they were playing great basketball, but of course that backfired on my face. So I learned my lesson. It's Villanova or pass for me. So I will bet Villanova in this game. I'll bet them in the first half. I will admit the Justin Moore injury is concerning, but in Jay Wright I trust. I put his mug on the coin of college basketball right now because since 2016, I don't think there's a team and a program that's been as consistently excellent as the Villanova Wildcats. And Jay Wright, a big reason why. So, reaction for me, no action for you. We're disagreeing all day long. What's happening here, girl?
Just really quick before we have our special guest come in, this is hard for me to go against Jay Wright because I love Jay Wright. I have Jay Wright on my radio show. I've had him on my radio show for the past 10 years. By the way, just a quick note, you know why Jay Wright's not wearing suits anymore? Because the guy who designed his suits passed away. So he said he's not going to hire another suit seamster? I don't know. Is that even a word?
A tailor.
Is that a Mark
tailor?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it just goes to show you what a phenomenal human being he is and how I hate going against him.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at, so I'm not going to do it. But reaction or no action is in the books, as I mentioned. We got our buddy Sean Farnham waiting to join us here on Bet and dive further into the NCAA tournament. Maybe he can help us hash out who is right and who is wrong from reaction or no action. Sean, thanks for taking the time to join us here on this Monday. Let's start with that first semifinal matchup we were discussing, Duke and North Carolina. Somehow, some way, it's the first time they've met in the NCAA tournament. It just so happens to be Coach K's last ride. You see, North Carolina is a 4-point dog in this matchup. We just saw them beat Duke by 13 a couple of weeks ago in the final game at Cameron Indoor for Coach K. Does the number seem a little inflated to you, though, with Duke laying 4 in this go-round?
Maybe a little bit, I think, but you have to go back to where Duke was defensively before the tournament. I heard you guys just talking about it just seconds ago. In the first 4 games of March, which is the final 2 games of the regular season into the ACC tournament, they had the 224th most efficient defense, which means they were inefficient at the defensive end of the floor. Now you've seen them utilize their zone in the last couple of games and how important that has been to slow down the pace, keep their opponent out of the paint. They took away the driving lanes from Texas Tech, did a great job in that contest with it. They came back to it again against Arkansas. Mark Williams, being the defensive mastermind that he is around the basket, altering shots, protecting the rim has been really huge. And it also takes away some of that on-ball screen and roll action that we saw North Carolina use in that final game at Cameron Indoor. I think they will slow this game down a tremendously large amount and force North Carolina to shoot contested shots over the top.
All right, let's talk about UNC because the last time an 8th seed won the big dance, it was Villanova back in 1985. So break it down for us. Tell us, what are the matchups that potentially could allow UNC to upset Duke?
Potential matchups that would allow this to come to fruition is one, Armando Bacot. Can he continue to be on the glass as often as we've seen him, as dominant as we have seen him on the glass? Because when he controls the paint, what that does is it forces the defense to collapse. And that's when you're going to find wide open shots from the outside for R.J. Davis and for Caleb Love. And if those guys can continue to shoot the ball well, and look, first half was not great against UCLA. Second half, a lot better. Obviously, things rolled against St. Peter's. But when they're filling it up from beyond the arc, great things happen for this team. But I think a lot of that comes from Bacot and how much attention he's going to get at the defensive end of the floor from the Duke Blue Devils.
All right, Sean, the other semifinal matchup we have features the only 1 seed to make it to the Final Four, the Kansas Jayhawks, taking on Villanova. Now, we were just discussing whether or not we like Villanova in the first half to cover, but let's talk about who Jay Wright will be missing. Justin Moore suffers that torn Achilles in the Elite 8 victory. Can you put into layman's terms and words for us just exactly what that absence will mean for Jay Wright and his Villanova Wildcats?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like losing a star wide receiver in football. It's losing your offensive guard or your offensive tackle, and you got Aaron Donald lined up on the other side of the ball. It's going to be a huge hole to fill. This is not a very deep team. It's not a team that can score the ball with ease either. So you're losing one of your top scorers, and then you're losing the defensive presence. And the defensive presence concerns me more than anything. In particular, this matchup against Kansas. who all of a sudden now is at full power. And we're starting to see a Remy Martin that we hadn't seen all season long, but we expected to see. You have Ochai Agbaji, who's a first-team All-American. You have Christian Brown and how consistent he's been and how aggressive he can attack off the wing. They do such a great job driving and attacking off the perimeter, getting you to chase defensively. That's how they score a bulk of their points in the paint. They're not doing it through posting up David McCormick. They will every now and then, but a lot of it's coming from attacking on the outside. And I think without Justin Moore, you lose a lot at the defensive end. And then you got to figure out a way to score, because I don't think Kansas is going to be held under 70 points. So you've got to score 70 points or more, and I'm not sure they can do it without Justin Moore. Colin Gillespie's been great. He struggled the last time out against Houston to advance here. But the story of him and his return this season, this is why he came back to compete for potentially a national championship. But even his senior leadership, I don't think is going to be enough to slow down the Kansas Jayhawks.
All right, I'm putting you on the hot seat. Pick the championship for me. Who's going to win? Who's going to the championship and who's going to win?
I do think we're going to see a Duke-Kansas national championship, and the storyline would be so great to see Coach K win the national championship and close out his career that way. But I'll go with the Kansas Jayhawks. I think that the Kansas Jayhawks, all this whole tournament, all we've done is talk about Duke and how well they've played, and they certainly have. But I think Kansas is a team that causes a lot of problems for them and matches up well with them on the perimeter, spaces out the floor, and even if they go to that zone, I think it's going to be really, really tough to slow down the Kansas Jayhawks, because they do have guys on the outside that can shoot the ball as much as they can drive it.
Kansas Duke sounds like my national nightmare if that's what ends up being the national championship game. But the only way to remedy that after the season is over, the three of us hop on the links, get a nice little tea time somewhere where we can all meet and fulfill our golfing addiction together, because it's a lot of fun talking college hoops, but I bet we'd have more fun on the course together. Sean Farnham joining us here on Bet. Sean, we appreciate you dropping by and look forward to chatting again as we near the weekend and as we wrap up the college basketball season.
Anytime you guys need me, yeah, the only thing that makes golf better is a couple of beverages while you're out on the golf course. Just saying.
There you go. Sean gets it. See, I knew Anita. He knew how we like to play a little golf, so Sean will fit right in when we are teeing it up. All right, it's now our turn, Anita Marks, to dive into these games and how we think we want to play these games given the circumstances and context that Sean was so ably willing to provide for us with these two matchups. All right, let's open up with the ACC semifinal. Duke, North Carolina. Duke laying 4.5. Got a total of 151. UNC is hot right now. We know what they did to Duke last time they played them at Cameron Indoor. You heard what Sean had to say, though. Anita, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, listen, I think a lot of people are rooting for Duke, again, because this is Coach K's farewell tour. But as you said, I love this UNC team. I think offensively, they're playing some of the best basketball in this tournament. Like I said, 43-pointers in their last 4 games. Their offense has been epic. And again, I think the fact that they beat Duke on Duke's home court on senior night, I think UNC's coming in with a lot of swag, right? 94-81. They just didn't beat them. I mean, they destroyed them on senior night. So I think they're coming in feeling good about themselves, coming in with a little swag, a little confidence, where Duke, I think, is going to be a little concerned. Like, oh, man, like they brought it last time we played them. On top of that, Davis has been a great coach. I know this is his first year. And as I said earlier, Duke, their defense coming into this tournament ranked 44th in the nation. I know they've played better than that so far, but UNC, man, they're a different animal.
Yeah, I like UNC plus the points. It was 4.5 last night. It's now trickled to 4. Of course, that extra hook, if you can find it, will be very valuable. But I do want to ride the kind of heater that North Carolina is on. Anita, in their last 11 games, they've won 10, and they're 9-2 ATS, including 4-0 ATS in this NCAA tournament. So they have found something. They're playing their best basketball, maybe a little looser than Coach K's team, because they feel like they have to win this one for Coach K, you know? And I wonder if that's what kind of hurt them in that final game at Cameron Indoor that North Carolina won. So in a game that I think is kind of a toss-up between two teams that know each other, I'll take the points with North Carolina. The second semifinal matchup to dive into, Villanova and Kansas. Again, we heard what Sean had to say, thinking KU escapes. But spread's the great equalizer. If they are to cover, they have to win by at least 5 points, as they're laying 4.5. Total of 132.5. You know how good Jay Wright has been in the NCAA tournament, but missing a big key piece Anita, what's your play?
I like Kansas here. I do believe, listen, again, they're the only number one who's still alive. They won the Big 12. They outscored the University of Miami 47-15 in the second half. Remy Martin, to me, is, and I'll use the word elixir again, he's the best sixth man coming off the bench of any team here in the tournament. He's averaging 20 points a game. They've got a strong backcourt. They've got a deeper roster than Villanova. Again, I think Justin Moore's injury, I think, is going to be pretty significant. Second in the team in scoring, second in the team in assists, third in the team in rebounds. So I think that's going to be a huge loss. And again, I just don't believe Villanova should have won the game. Houston should have won that game. The only reason the Cougars lost was because they went 1 for 20 from downtown. Wrong team advanced. So I'm all over Kansas here. I'll lay the 4.
You know I would never wager a single dollar on Kansas. It's just a moral and ethical thing that I have. So it's Jay Wright or pass for me. But I will attack the total as well because of the Justin Moore injury. I think this game is going to be played, at least attempted to be played, by Villanova at an absolute snail's pace. I know Kansas has a great offense, but I have to imagine since Jay Wright is going to condense his rotation and go only 6 or 7 deep, missing that key piece, which of course hurts their offensive efficiency, that he's going to try and make this a game that has as few possessions as possible, because the fewer possessions means there's more margin of error for his team. So I'll go under 132.5 here. Anita, listen to how the games have progressed for Illinois, as far Villanova, as far as the total has been in this NCAA tournament. 140 total points against Delaware, 132 against Ohio State, 118 against Michigan, and a grand total of 94 points in their matchup against Houston. So this team has been trending down, 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 and I think they'll try and ride that trend. So I'll go under 132.5. My best guess is how to approach this game against Kansas. That'll do it for our early week look at the NCAA tournament. Never too early to talk National Football League. It's always on the top of our mind. And Anita, the last couple of weeks around the NFL have been crazy, much like this NCAA tournament. So now that we have kind of had some time to sit back, decompress, and take in all of the big-name players that have moved from different teams to other teams, been traded, of course have a draft coming up, all these combines and whatnot that we're seeing. Let's take a look at the market from our perspective in a segment we call Stock Up, Stock Down. Which two teams, in your estimation, Anita, have, one, done the most to help themselves in their stock, and two, done the most to tank their stock? I'll let you start, and we'll go good news first. Which team, Anita Marks, to you, has done the most to improve their stock so far this offseason?
This was difficult, and I'm curious to know if it was as difficult for you as it was for me, because free agency was bananas, and there were so many teams that really improved themselves. But to me, no team better than the Denver Broncos. First and foremost, the obvious, right? Bringing in Russell Wilson. But it goes beyond Russell Wilson. We know what he can do as a quarterback, but to align him with Nathaniel Hackett, and the way Hackett, I believe, the offense that he's going to implement in Denver at Mile High, with the weapons now that Russell Wilson's going to be able to work with, the play action, the taking shots deep. Russell Wilson, one of the best accurate passers of 20 yards or more. I just think this is a marriage made in heaven. And then on top of that, defensively, bringing in Randy Gregory and aligning him with Bradley Chubb, they have a chance of having the top 5 defense in the NFL. Broncos are the real deal in the AFC West now. And I would say the AFC West now is the most competitive division in all of professional sport, Tyler.
Yeah, now look at us. We're back on track here, Boo, because I'm exactly with you. The Denver Broncos, they have their stock up more than any team relative to what we saw in 2021. And it's very simple. No team in the NFL made a more drastic improvement at the most important position, not just in the NFL, but in all of sports. If you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, you are a contender. And then you look at the rest of the roster around that. There's pieces on offense. You know how I feel about Javonte Williams. I think he's going to be a stud with Russell under center. Judy, Sutton, Hamler, Patrick, Alberto, decent offensive line, defensive talent that Vic Fangio coached, like Patrick Surtain and Bradley Chubb, adding Randy Gregory. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't know if they're going to win the division because they're so competitive, but they improved their stock the most, and that was the point of this assignment. On the other side, what stock is plummeting in your eyes so far this offseason, Anita?
For me, it's the Green Bay Packers. And, the fact that they've been able to lock down Aaron Rodgers to come back is great. But what's Aaron working with right now? Lazard is his number one wide receiver. Not only does he lose Devontae Adams, but he also loses MVS, by the way. And MVS was the receiver that would really stretch the field for the Green Bay Packers. So, for me, now granted, in the draft, they've got 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s. This is a very deep draft, especially at the wide receiver position. But here's the thing, Tyler. It takes a lot for Aaron Rodgers to trust a wide receiver. So even if the Green Bay Packers go out and get, let's say, 2 stud wide receivers, it's going to take a hot minute for Aaron Rodgers to truly get into a rhythm, a vibe with the wide receiver, especially if it's a rookie. So for me, it's the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I'm not surprisingly going with an NFC team because it feels like almost every AFC team got stronger while pretty much every NFC team got worse this offseason. But I'm going to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys stock is down tremendously to me. They had a really, really good team last year. Remember, they had the best ATS record in the NFL. And then they flamed out in disappointing fashion against the San Francisco 49ers. And I think their roster got a lot worse this offseason. Amari Cooper gone. Cedric Wilson gone. I know they brought back Michael Gallup, but he's coming off injury. So Dak Prescott's weapons got worse. They lost Randy Gregory. They lost La'el Collins. That means their D-line got worse. That means their O-line got worse. They also could not get rid of Ezekiel Elliott's contract. So that means he's going to keep taking away carries from the guy behind him who is way better than him right now in Tony Pollard. And then for some reason, they hired Brian Schottenheimer to their offensive staff. Brian Schottenheimer, I know his dad was a good offensive coach, but Brian Schottenheimer has done nothing in his NFL career to keep earning these opportunities. And I think that actually makes their offense worse by bringing someone like Schottenheimer aboard, who hasn't helped any offense that he's joined ever since he started coaching. So luckily for the Cowboys, they play in the NFC East, but their stock is way down compared to a season ago with what I see from their roster this year. All right, that'll do it for our talk on the gridiron. Let's get back to the hardwood, but graduate to the NBA. We have not hopped on the NBA hardwood yet, and we got a pretty nice Monday slate of games here, Anita, so let's dive in with a few that stand out. First and foremost, Nuggets visiting the suddenly surging Charlotte Hornets. Got a nice win against Brooklyn. We know how good the Nuggets have been, even without MPJ and Jamal Murray. Your boy, you're wearing LaMelo, your boy. So should I even ask, is it Hornets plus the points tonight for you, Anita?
No, you should ask because it's really not. I like the Nuggets. I like the Nuggets here, and I'm gonna I just like ball. He scored 33 points last night, so I'm repping him tonight. But I do like the Nuggets. Minus 3.5. I also like the minus 1.5 in the first quarter. I also like the minus 2.5 at the end of the first half. Hornets, by the way, 1-12. On a second game of a back-to-back. Yes, they beat the Nets last night, which was really, really impressive. Like I said, Ball had 33 points. But Denver, to me, is uber motivated. They want to stay above Minnesota. They want to make sure that they stay in that 6th spot in the West. They do have the rest advantage. They haven't played since Saturday, and I do believe that the Nuggets are really going to push the pace tonight and get up early. There's some prop bets that I like here as well. Jokic over 26.5 points. The Hornets have the 8th worst defensive rating in the NBA. Also, no rim protector in the paint. JaMychal Green is expected to be inactive. Therefore, I like over for Gordon in points as well as rebounds, and Jeff Green over in points as well. Both of them averaging higher than what the prop bets in regard to points and rebounds are on the slate. So a lot of prop bets based on the injuries and obviously because of the rest advantage and the matchup for Jokic.
Yeah, I love the extra credit with a few props in there. I'm just going to attack this total. When I first looked at it, it seemed kind of, fishy that it was this high. Maybe I'm a square, but I'm going to go under 233.5. We'll start with Charlotte. 6 of their last 7 games have come under this total, and they've become an under team at home. I don't know if it's because they've slowed down their pace or their defense has gotten better, but on the season, they're 17-20-1 to the over at home this season. So they're actually an under team. More of their games at home have gone under. 233.5 seems a little high. Even though there's great offensive players in this game with Jokic and Ball, Denver's not necessarily a fast-paced team. They're 19th in the NBA in pace. So I don't think the pace will be fast enough. And the trend for the Hornets at home recently has been to go under the total. So I'm officially under 233.5. All right, an Eastern Conference matchup that we need to dive into, and you have to provide the context here because you're wondering, why are the Raptors favored by 8 against the Celtics? Well, you see on your screen, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams III, and Al Horford, 4 of their 5 starters, out tonight. So the Raptors are a big home favorite. The total plummeted from like the 220s down to 209. How are you looking at this one, Anita?
Yeah, listen, a number of these guys are out, Tyler, because of rest management, right? Because this is the second game of back-to-back. I've got some really big concerns about Robert Williams moving forward. I mean, he's such a big, crucial part of their defense and a big reason why the Boston Celtics have really surged the second half of the season. So that's a huge red flag for me. The Raptors, they played on Saturday, so again, another rest advantage team heading into tonight. And again, they as well want to keep that 6th seed, so there's extra motivation there for them as well, which is kind of surprising to me. I really, the rest management for Boston, because they should be motivated as well. That East race in regard to the seeding is just as competitive. So I'm all over the Raptors here. This line opened up at 3. I got it at 3. It's now at 8. I would play it to 10. Also, some prop bets here that I like. Grant Williams over 12.5 points. He's going to get a ton of minutes with all the guys that you just listed that are not going to be active for Boston. And also Scotty Barnes. I know I talk about him each and every time I'm on Bet or Daily Wager. I've become a huge fan of this guy. Over 16.5 points as well. Van Fleet might not play. He's dealing with a little knee issue, so keep that in mind. If Van Fleet is inactive, man, right now I like Scotty Barnes over points. I'll love him if Van Fleet's inactive.
Yeah, Barnes is a stud, rookie out of Florida State, does everything, like points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals.
Yeah.
He'll have box scores that are just awesome all over the place. I'm going to go over 209. And that may seem, what are you doing? No Jaylen Brown, no Jason Tatum? Like, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, there's almost 60 points a night. But obviously the books know that. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction, and they're trying to trap you, because I think what is going to hurt the Celtics most with these guys out is that their defense is not going to be able to stop the Raptors. So maybe you feel more comfortable isolating the Raptors side and playing their team total over. But I do think in this matchup, without Robert Williams, without Al Horford, without Jaylen Brown, that the Celtics will play a little bit faster because their lineup will be small. It's going to be Marcus Smart. It's going to be Derek White. It's going to be Grant Williams. They're going to have to play small ball, so I think their pace will pick up. And they're not going to be as good defensively without those guys, Williams especially. So I'm going to go over 209, thinking the books have overreacted to all these guys missing for the Celtics, and they're trying to kind of trap the gambler a little bit. So, again, I don't think it's going to be, a 250-point game, but 209, I think slightly low, because the defense of the Celtics is going to be what is hurt most. So, again, maybe you like team total for the Raptors over. Final game to look at, Warriors and the Grizzlies, and this one features another team that is sitting a bunch of players. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, all out. That's why the Grizz are favored by 11 points. We know how good the Grizz have been even without Ja Morant, and he might not play tonight. So how are you looking at this one?
Yeah, I mean, another game where you've got a team that's resting guys because of rest management. So I'm all over the Grizzlies. I mean, they're beating teams without Morant by double digits. They've just been really unbelievable. And as we know, Golden State Warriors, they've been struggling on defense. And another team, by the way, rest management. Memphis hasn't played since Saturday, so there's an advantage there. Some prop bets. I like Jones over points and rebounds with no Morant. I like Adams over rebounds. He's averaging 12 a game. Bane over 28.5 points as well. He's averaging 24 points a game, shooting 58%. And Poole as well over points. Again, because Klay and Steph Curry more than likely is being reported will be inactive.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Anita. I like the props as well with all those guys out. I like the Grizzlies, even without Ja Morant, who won't be playing in this game. They're 49-26 ATS this season. That's best record in the NBA. They're 24-13 ATS at home this season. That's best record in the NBA. They've covered 6 of their last 7 games at home and won their last 3 games at home without Ja Morant by a combined 67 points. So especially when teams are not bringing their best, which the Warriors are not, the Grizzlies, with a big old bear claw, beat the you-know-what out of you. So I like the Grizz, even though it's a large number. They have thrived in this spot, and I think they'll do the exact same thing tonight. All right, that'll do it for a Monday edition of Bet. I'm glad you like my bear swipe. A big thanks to our buddy Sean Farnham for hopping on and helping us out in the NCAA. She's Anita Marks. As LaMelo Ball, I'm Tyler Fulghum. We'll see you Wednesday on Bet. Bye.